explains how the adventure of a lifetime cannot be planned. Please welcome R.G. Hook.
Yay, right
It will be the adventure of a lifetime, we say to anyone who will listen. It was the land down under, the only country which is also a continent, which is also an island, a sunburned nation in Crocodile Dundee's. G'day, mate, and put the Barbie on. The life we were planning in 2012 included a year-long sabbatical for his scientific research, while I finalized my how-to career book, the first draft with 12 chapters done. Our Austin home was already leased out, while a new awaiting abode in Perth, bordering the Indian Ocean on the western side of our destination, was ready for us. And premium airline tickets, go Qantas, ready to fly us to our new life for the next 12 months. 12 is the numerology sign of completion, except we hadn't gone anywhere. I can still see us bent over packing boxes in our living room, popcorn stuffing in disarray, the sound of taping shut our Austin lives so it will fit into a 10 by 10 storage unit. The phone rings and our eyes meet from across the room. It started with stomach pain. He didn't want to go to the doctors. I insisted. He answers the call, and our lives begin to unravel mercilessly. I pretend that I am not listening as a mantra plays in my mind. He's fine. Everything is fine. We are going, damn it. He's not talking, but I hear a few and I walk over to stand in front of him, trying to read his eyes, which avoid mine completely. After he says goodbye, he pulls me towards his chest, wrapping his arms around me while he rests his chin on top of my head. And just like that, we switch from planning a life overseas to planning to save his life. No more kangaroos, no more Outback. Now it is radiation sandwiches. You know what I mean. Chemotherapy week 1, radiation week 2, chemotherapy week 3, yum yum. And we still have surgery and IVs and fluid draining to close out this horrific trauma party. And me bucking the caregiving responsibilities whenever I can. 15 months later, at least it wasn't 12. And now it's our weekly Tuesday visit from our overworked and understaffed hospice nurse, Kimberly. There are 168 hours in a week, and aside from the 1 hour visit from Kimberly, we are on our own for the other 167 hours. So it is with her arrival each time that I breathe a sigh of relief. I know he is thin. I know even how little he weighs, but I cannot see how his decline is quickening. Kimberly checks his vitals, then usually follows us with a series of questions. How are you feeling? Any pain? Any new symptoms? Except this time, after putting her stethoscope aside, she asks me to step into the hallway where we can speak privately. As gently as possible, she says, I don't know what's keeping him here. I almost couldn't detect a heartbeat. When I do not respond, she continues, he could go any day now. Are you ready? Although I have not felt ready even once, my immediate response is, I need someone to help me shower him. I want him to be clean when he dies. And the reality of my own words swoop in, a kaleidoscope of symptoms, betraying his body, deceiving my hopes, and completing our ending. Kimberly arranges for a volunteer technician to show up that afternoon. And when the doorbell rings, I am not at all surprised to see someone standing there in hospital scrubs. No, my wide-eyed look is due to the voluptuous Selma Hayek-looking young woman with long, shiny hair and whose full breasts are filling out those scrubs. My mouth, which has remained open but silent, closes, then opens again, then finally says, "Please come in," as I put a finger to my lips while I show her to the bathroom. I close the door behind us, then say out loud, "How about if you wash him from the waist up, and I'll wash him from the waist down?" My only thought is that I do not want my 6-foot husband, who is now less than 100 pounds, with a stent in his chest and a tube flowing out of his abdomen, to feel uncomfortable. I wake him from a slumber in the hospital bed in our home and say, "Kimberly sent a technician to help me shower you." "But I'm not dirty," he says. And he is correct. Chemotherapy kills everything, including scent. But he is a man who is fastidious about his daily showers. And Kimberly's words are still in my head. "Are you ready?" Without words, the young technician helps me lift him from his wheelchair and over the lip of the tub and onto a shower seat. I test the running water until it is warm, then give her the handheld shower head as she stands behind him while I stand in front of him. She has only smiled at me, saying very little in my presence, and absolutely none in his. And even though his eyes are closed and his head is down, mostly because the muscles in his neck have weakened so that he's unable to lift his head for more than a few seconds at a time, and even though his hearing is at par with his sight, my husband could still detect the presence of this strikingly sensual woman near his naked body. He asks her name and where she is from. When she tells him that her country is Honduras, he says that all of his friends will be jealous when they find out that he got to shower with 2 beautiful Hispanic women. His secret fantasy. Because his eyes are closed, he doesn't see mine slam shut as I close my mouth to keep any sound from escaping. A cry is stuck in my chest and making its way up to my mouth. The hand that I have pressed against my lips keeps me silent, but cannot prevent the tears that begin to fall from my eyes. The technician grabs a dry washcloth sitting on the stand next to the tub, and she begins to pat the tears away from my face. "Are you crying?" he asks, his head still down, his eyes still closed. "No," I lie. "Then let the tears fall freely," as I bend down and lift his chin up so I can kiss him on the lips, as I say, "You are so funny when you are naked." Then I begin to plant small kisses all over his face, saying over and over again, "I love you. You are the love of my life. I will always love you." The technician helps me dry him off and get him into a clean pair of pajamas and into the hospital bed. 5 days later, he dies. Out of all the things hospice warned me to watch out for, they never mentioned how I would fall in love with my husband all over again in those last weeks of his life. And yes, we did not make it to Australia, but he still managed to give me the adventure of a lifetime.